witnessed someone that made you realize he or she is really, really smart?
I mean, yeah.
Tell a story. And I took it as smarter than you, or smarter than me, even, for me telling the story. Like,
I don't know. I think a good example would be years ago when I think he died in 2011. But Christopher Hitchens, it was not so much like him being like all his ideas being great and him being intrinsically brilliant. It was the way that he articulated himself and the way he could phrase himself, and his speech is so convincing and so articulate and eloquent that I watched that and I'm like, wow. Like, I hope someday I can speak like that guy. Just like he was so fast off the cuff, and not just with like a quip or something. He was like, someone could make an argument against him, and it's like, oh, that's actually a decent point on some things, and then he would come back with a multifaceted retort, and it's like, wow, that's crazy.
But you don't have anyone from your like personal experiences?
Oh,
You're like, I guess Einstein, maybe Neil Tyson deGrasse.
Yeah.
Like,
personally, I'd have to think about it. I mean, of course, I've met plenty of people way smarter than me. None of them have been like, I'm walking into class and I see Joe that I underestimated finishing an equation that was formerly unsolvable on the board.
Got a real Goodwill Hunting scenario over there with Joe, I think. We're gonna take him to the CIA and see if we can profit from this.
No.
I wish I could think of specific examples. I remember when I met Taylor for the first time, I thought, wow, Taylor's a really bright guy. Taylor's one of the smartest people I know.
That's nice of you.
Yeah, you're very, very bright guy. And bright is the word I would use, because you're spontaneously intelligent, if that makes any sense. Like, you can be intelligent about just about anything, given a little bit of time and resources. You're a bright guy. I remember recognizing that immediately when I met Taylor, and I tell people often, like, Taylor's one of the smartest guys I know. I think you are.
Thank you.
Very funny guy too. Taylor's just multifaceted, multi-talented, great guy.
So good, so good. I'm so glad I got worked into this answer.
That's digging this? I can keep going.
Don't stop. New topics, Woody.
I've grown in my later years to think of intelligence differently than I used to, right? Like, I used to just do, like, who did well in school, and that was a way that I measured intelligence. Now it's a little different than that. I worked with a guy, I've talked about him before, Patavi Srinivasan, so much better at coding than me. And I was good, right? I was better than almost everyone at Cisco. And a lot of people liked me more than Patavi for their projects because I got shit done. Whereas he would...
your email to remember.
What's that?
I said an easier email to remember. How the fuck do you spell Patavi? Fuck it, just email that.
Just get Woody. Yeah, she's wrote Hypercube guy in the thing. Yeah, that's the guy. I was working on this Hypercube routing, fault-tolerant Hypercube routing algorithm for, he's not even close, for,
I know.
for my master's degree, and I wrote it. I was proud of it. I showed it to him. He wrote it faster and better than I did, and I felt like there wasn't another person on the floor who could write it at all. And Patavi, stop it with the fucking thing. Stop it. Anyway, he's much smarter than me. But like, there's other aspects of smart, like Kyle, for example. I talk about him and his video ideas all the time. He's like much better at that, and I don't think Patavi would be any good at that at all. I think
creativity is what you're talking about now.
Yeah, and then there's like a musical kind of intelligence, and then there's like a
that's a good distinction.
There's an EQ, right? Like there are people who just relate well to other people, and it's like magic, right? Yeah.
I feel like that's what I'm best at. You always talk about the video ideas, and I think I am good at coming up with little ideas and just kind of think about silly things to do all the time. Like I made a little bomb the other day to throw up on the roof to scare the guys. But EQ, I feel like I'm really good at. I feel like I'm good at analyzing myself and figuring out why I do the things that I do and why I feel the way I do about things. And sometimes it's not a pretty picture to like turn that light on yourself. And to realize, this is your own insecurity eating at you. That's why you're mad right now. That's what that is. That anger right here, that's you not liking you. It ain't got nothing to do with that motherfucker. Cut him a break. And I can do that. And I can turn that around also and like look at other people and be like, he's not mad at me. He's mad about his own failings. I feel like I'm good at analyzing people and kind of seeing where they're coming from and why. And sometimes without very much input.
So like an interpersonal intelligence. like
Emotional. Yeah.
emotional. Yeah.
The day that
Emotional
you make
pathetic.
your videos, I've been told from even multiple sources that you could be a grumpy guy. I think you've told me that too.
Not to be fucked with.
I will be on making videos that I feel are much lower pressure. Like, remember those Woody Wednesdays where I sat in a chair with a fire behind me? During that filming process, I'm hard to get along with because, like, I'm not sure of what I'm going to say. And then Jackie might say the wrong thing. Like, what, you weren't ready for this? No, it all seemed so set. I had all my bullet points. I said it in my head and it kept going great. But when it comes to doing it as like a one take or something, that pressure is huge on me and it's rough. And you know, and like you said, it's my own insecurity that, like, oh man, I thought I had all my act together on this, and now I don't. And by the way, handling all my own lighting and camera work and shit like that really adds to the distraction of nailing the part that I'm supposed to do well. But yeah, when it comes to intelligent people, I've just started to realize, like, wow, you know, it's not just IQ as a measure. Like, there's a whole lot of ways in which people make themselves valuable that aren't just IQ, and there's all kinds of intelligence, you know, like
It's
creativity,
like,
music, humor,
You know those
relating to other
spiderweb
people.
graphs you see on video games for how good a character is, where it's like
Yeah.
really high up and it's like strength, and then stamina's a little lower, and then speed. Oh, that's shit. Like, that's how intelligence is. It's like, you know, for me, my art intelligence, it doesn't even come off of the side. Like, it's not. There's no peak there. It's just a flat line between two other points. Yeah, it's a divot. Yeah, it actually subtracts from other areas, pulls from that to try and compensate. But
A black hole of talent.
Somehow
from which there
his
is no escape.
strength is held back by his art.
yeah,
That makes you weaker. Yeah, right. And I don't like to think. I think I'm an above average of intelligence, right? I think I understand things a lot.
I think we all are. Like,
Yeah.
Look, if we're talking about above average, you got to keep in mind most of them people out there are fucking dum dums that can't even
Thank
like.
God for them.
I talked to a woman the other day. She was like at the gas station. She's like, I walk in the gas station. Excuse me, maybe you could help me. And I'm like, I'll try. She says, which one's unleaded? I look outside. I'm like, well, they're all unleaded. Those numbers out there about the octane rating, it has to do with the tuning of your engine and the pressures. You know, lower octanes or sometimes they explode under high pressure. Some of these newer, fancy engines, especially in sports cars, are running high pressure, and you could have the
Premature detonation.
Premature detonation messes things up. Your car's skipping. It's having issues. She's like, but what kind of gas do I put in that car? And I'm like, the cheapest fucking one.
Have you ever
87.
filled up before? Like, do you not? What do you do at the
from
other
Jersey.
gas station?
She's from Jersey. Yeah.
Oh, people
don't
from
allow.
Jersey and
See, if you're in New
Oregon.
Jersey, the state government there has. They didn't just decide. They made a law that they knew that their citizens couldn't be trusted, if you will, to operate a gasoline pump.
It is dangerous.
Yeah.
It's the least dangerous thing. When I see those gasoline station accidents where, like, here's what happens. And if you're out there, people, keep a cool head. I don't understand this. I don't panic in situations like this ever. If somehow that pump that's in your car ignites, what you've got right now is gasoline fumes making a little fire there. They're being fed by the fact that you're continually pumping more fuel in there and expelling those gases. If you just turn the thing off and walk away, by the time you get back from paying for that gas, your paint job might be messed up a little bit, but everything will still be there. If you pull that motherfucker out, it's game over, bro. We're all going to die. Like, you're probably going to spray yourself, the car, and it's a flamethrower, but a real bad one.
Most people wouldn't do that. Like, most people would yank it out right away because that's the common sense thing to do. Like, that's what you
most
think
people, when they
you're supposed
run off the road, immediately jerk back with everything they have too, and that's another thing. That's
to.
dumb.
That's not good. That's how you flip yourself.
That's how you flip yourself.
Yeah. Especially
So,
on
yeah,
the street.
Mistakes were made.
When I feel like that we are much more intelligent than the average person, in one way or another. We're at least competent. You know, I mean, most people can't put on fucking deodorant and like brush their teeth and shit, man. Like
I like Taylor's like spider web of skill
Me too.
strengths, right? And I don't completely concede the intelligence thing. I think I've proven my mettle there, but there are other areas in which I succeed too that I think make me a good guy. You know.
Yeah, intelligence is a weird thing to wrap your head around because some guys know a lot of stuff and some guys can learn stuff quickly, and some guys just seem to. Well, I guess that's it. You know, some guys can pick a thing up and just all of a sudden have it, and some guys have just collected knowledge for so long and they can maintain it. If you're the guy who can learn something and now you have it forever, that's a whole different talent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it can be weird. Sometimes you can think, I meet people all the time that are not doing great for themselves, but they're bright people. They're smart. They've got a good sense of humor. And then I meet some people who are doing really well, and they're just real fucking dum-dums who have been put in a fucking position they shouldn't be. They're just scheduling stuff for people, flights and lodgings. And
hypothetically.
I can only imagine that some sort of... I'm not going to...
Do you find that you tend to lend more credence to the areas of intelligence that you personally are good at? Like for me, like
No.
if someone's funny or
Less.
clever or like witty, I'm always like, that's a bright guy. What a genius. Smart. Absolutely. You know, because
It depends about his sense of humor, because sometimes you meet somebody who's just a walking meme generator / like and I do this a little bit. Like I've memorized so many punchlines from so many movies and so many comedians that sometimes you'll give me the first half of the joke not unwillingly, and I've already got it. There's that guy, but then there's the guy who's just funny to talk to, who's just constantly like telling a joke that he just made up on the spot, and it's not a knock knock who's there kind of thing. It's a funny story with a nice twist, and and you do this really well. We keep going back to kissing your ass. This is going to be, but you do that very well. You're
yeah.
I like your you're like I like that you didn't even
Don't let me stop
no
you.
point where you like, oh no, don't do that, not me.
No, at this point I'm just gonna bask in it. Just gonna let this happen, you know. Hopefully this is included in the best of when someone makes that. Or it's the only best of, you know.
We're going to
I was
release
saying
it on a
more to, like,
DVD, just
tell
us
them about
kissing
how-
your ass for 20 minutes.
I was saying it like not just to say like, oh, I lend more credence than it's probably appropriate to someone who's clever, but I don't give enough credence in other areas where someone who like Mozart, who wrote a bunch of music and was just out of his mind smart. I'll look at that, and because I can't empathize because I don't have those abilities, I'm like, it's just banging on keys. What's
I'm
he
the
doing?
opposite.
Like, this guy, like something, you know, if a million monkeys typed a million
I'm the opposite,
printers
too.
eventually.
I'm the
they
opposite,
throw
dude.
some
When I
shit.
see a guy who can like play an instrument well, like especially like in real life, it's like he's a magician. Like, how the fuck did you get that to do that?
really cool.
I have tried so hard to be. I work at things harder than most, right? I'm not easily denied success at stuff. I have worked harder at the guitar than I talk about.
The Rapist Creed.
I'm not built to be good at guitar. I suck so hard, and I think I always will. And then there's the like I see people speak multiple languages, or I see like the things that people are good at that plug holes in me. Those I think really highly of.
I can't play the guitar. My fingers do this lock and pop thing with the
Oh, tell me
gross.
about it. I can't even control my fingers. I have to play left-handed.
Really? Tell me more about your fingers.
Oh, I can't even like hold them together.
Disgusting.
I'm trying to watch this. Watch it like I'll keep adding. I'm adding pressure like more and more and more, and it like snaps.
Really?
So your fingers are almost like a mousetrap,
Yes.
where it's just a critical mass of tension is reached, and then there's no control, just close.
They're not extra limber, Chiz. No, it's because all right. So when you're playing guitar, you got to be over here like this, and I have a real hard time doing that.
That looks like guitar.
Yeah.
In my case,
But when you play piano, you go like this.
the distance between these fingers, I can't alter that. Right? So if you were to
What do you do when you play the drums?
Oh. So
You can't do this number.
I can't. No.
On both hands.
Just the one
Or
hand,
just the one,
which is why I
yeah.
play left-handed. So I make this my picking hand, and then I play right-handed. But that adds another like everything, all the tabulature that you like get. Mostly you have to translate it in your head as you're going to like mirror it, and it adds a level of complexity.
Yeah,
and I
that
know that
sucks,
there's
man.
someone out there is going to say, no, you can get left-handed tablature, kind of like a third of it comes left-handed. So now. Like, it's like, dude, no, I'll just learn to mirror it because flipping back and forth is even harder on me. And, it's... I suck at it.
So here's what the only thing that even comes close to a musical instrument that I'm good at is a keyboard. I feel like, and we all are here, right? We can all type, and it's just it requires no thought. I can translate your words into text without my brain doing anything seemingly. Like I don't have to think about that. My fingers just know where the fucking home row key, get on the home row keys, and we know where all the alphabet is. I feel like that's somewhat like a musical instrument. I feel like I can type as well as like a bad guitar player can play guitar, at least. But I played when my dad is very good at this. Like this is an area that I did not inherit at all somehow. His grandma taught him to play the guitar at a young age. And once he learned the basics of music, it just kind of makes sense to him, the notes. And he doesn't know what he's doing necessarily, but he can pick up virtually any instrument and kind of play it. He's not over there playing the saxophone, don't get me wrong. But anything with strings, he can pick up and kind of mess with for a minute and then just be like, and play the fucking thing, and music comes out. And
like languages. Like once you've mastered Spanish, you know, granted, it's because these are all romantic languages, but once you've mastered Spanish, you know, if that took you a year to get good at it, Italian's going to take you a couple months. And then, you know, French is going to take you even less time. And then that's something that's super impressive to me, and I think incredibly highly of people who can speak, like, 4 languages. I can't even imagine that. Having the
Trump's
ability to, like, a translator. Like,
7?
that entire thing of, like, listening to something in a different language.
2's in my head. God, I could be wrong. I thought she spoke, like, Slovakian or wherever she's from. Slovenian. I think she's from Slovenia, I think. I thought she only spoke 2, but I could be wrong. Oh, maybe this is it. His son speaks 2. His son with her, he speaks Slovenian and English. That's where I was getting at, yeah.
I'm thinking more like 3 or 4 languages. A lot of people speak 2, but if I talk to someone, not to say that's not impressive, I only speak 1, but if someone tells me like, oh yeah, I speak English, French, German, you know, Italian, it's like, wow, this person, they've got to have a lot of conjugations and shit going on in their head and tenses, and I don't know, it seems hard.
Very difficult. I knew a guy, my roommate that I had when I was 19, he was from Lithuania, and so he spoke Polish and Russian and Lithuanian and one more, and English, and then maybe one more. I think it was 5 languages total. But if you think about it, many of those languages are very similar. Russian and Lithuanian are very close, to the point where, like, I'll be watching a movie and I'll hear them say "ekhnakwi," and I know what they're saying, or "kurva." If there's "kurva" is bitch, "ekhnakwi" is either "fuck you," or I think "nakwi" is maybe "fuck," something like that. So I'll pick those words out every now and then. I think if I want to ask you what time it is, it's like "man patinka alus echnak." No. Yeah, it's "man patinka alus." I think that's how you ask what time it is. But like hanging out with him, like they would speak Lithuanian in private when they argued. So I can remember being like on the porch, like hanging off of our apartment, and we're just drunk as shit, drinking and smoking cigarettes and sitting out there. And all of a sudden they get in a little argument in English, and then all of a sudden it would change to Lithuanian, and I would just be sitting there like, and they would apologize. They'd be like my friend would be like, "Sorry, Kyle, but we're gonna have to do this in Lithuanian," and then they